thanks for tuning in to another video. Today I'm bringing to you a review/comparison of 3 different e-skates, the Onewheel XR, the Evolve Bamboo GT, and the LaCroix DSS60. Now I'm not going to get too much into manufacturer specs, but more so focus on the ride experience and some of the pros and cons. I'm going to focus mostly on the LaCroix and the Onewheel XR. So you can see here just the general size, shape, and form is very, very different, other than the obvious difference of 1 wheel to 4. This kind of showcases the ride height and just how much of a difference there is. The LaCroix is significantly lower to the ground, so if you were wondering what the difference was, now you see, and you can choose whichever is your preference. This gives an example of how you mount the 1 wheel and also a flex test. There's absolutely no flex in the 1 wheel, but the large pneumatic tire does make it very comfortable to ride on for the most part. And it's also neat that you can just lean forward to go and lean back to brake / kick it right into reverse. The mount and dismount is really not that difficult, but it does take some getting used to. And you can see here, I'm just showing you how you can do it wrong. And if you need to, you can just hop off. It's not that bad. So here on the LaCroix, of course, you just step right on. This is just showcasing some of the flex of the trucks. And you can see too that the deck itself is quite flexible as well. It's not too flexible though, and it's honestly one of the most comfortable e-skates I've ever ridden on. As far as carrying them around, there's a handle in the front of the Onewheel XR. You could also add on an aftermarket handle to the side. With the LaCroix, you just pick it up and carry it around like a regular board. Neither one is light. They both weigh around 27 pounds, so they do get a bit heavy if you're carrying them long distances. It is nice that you have the option to just roll the LaCroix. Taking it back to the streets, let's get back to the ride. Or off the streets, which is really one of the Onewheel's best features, is the fact that you can take this thing just about anywhere. Now you'll see on other videos of people really taking it to different extremes and riding trails, things like that. This is just some light grass, but just for demonstration purposes, it's nice to see. Oh, and also it is built like a tank, so this thing can really take a beating. If your 1 wheel isn't scratched, then chances are you haven't really ridden it. It is a cool feeling, you know, to just be able to carve around on this thing, and then whenever you feel like it, just, you know, take it off-road a little bit. Or even do a curb drop because of the shape of this thing and its durability. Couldn't do that with the LaCroix or the Bamboo GT, but you could on another board with a kicktail. The LaCroix can also go off-road with its pneumatic tires, but I don't do that often because I don't want to scratch up my carbon fiber enclosure. So the 1 wheel is a bit more rugged. What's it like to ride it? Well, the carve is pretty nice. It is a different feeling though than the LaCroix, and I don't know, for me personally, it's a little bit difficult just because of the contact patch of having 1 wheel. It's a little bit odd to try to get it up on that edge. Now, something that I dislike about the 1 wheel is this. So I did that on purpose. I just leaned forward a bit too much on purpose to show that you can't actually scrape the front if you do that. The compensation won't keep up. Now, the LaCroix is different. The LaCroix, you'll have no such issues. You can totally hammer the throttle, but it should be noted that you want to really understand this machine before you do that, just like the 1 wheel. Understand its capabilities and its limits. With the LaCroix, this thing has a ton of punch, especially if you switch to the 15 or 16 tooth pulley, which is on this one. If you're not careful, it can throw you off. Now, on to what I love the most about the LaCroix, the carve. Man, this thing carves so good. You can really just put all your body weight into a lean and carve super deep, going uphill, downhill, flats, doesn't matter. It's just an awesome machine for that. You can kick push the LaCroix, although I wouldn't necessarily recommend it. It's meant to be ridden under power. It's a heavy board and it's belt driven, so wherever you get the opportunity, use the throttle. It's a nice option to have though, just in case you need it. It will also save you some battery if you use that from your initial start as opposed to hitting the throttle. You You have no such luxury on the Onewheel. So if you do run out of battery, you're going to be lugging this bad boy around. This kind of showcases a clear advantage that the Onewheel does have over the LaCroix. In tight spaces, you can really maneuver around much better on the Onewheel. We're going about the same speed, and it does just have a sharper turning radius. Of course, you can always just kick around the LaCroix if you need to.
The brakes on the Onewheel do work well. If you really hammer it, you can drag the back end, so just beware. As for the LaCroix, it has excellent braking power due to the size of the motors. Minor gripe though is as you're gradually slowing down, they'll engage much harder at about 3 miles per hour. It probably won't throw you off and you do get used to it, but thought it was worth mentioning. To me, without a doubt, one of the best features of the Onewheel is the fact that you don't need a remote. Its controls are very intuitive. You just lean forward to go, lean back to brake. You get used to it really quickly, and it's nice that you do have both hands free to do whatever you want. You could hold a camera and a phone, although I wouldn't necessarily recommend that for safety reasons, but it is possible.
So can you guess which board this is? Well, it's not the Onewheel, and it's not the LaCroix. This is the Evolve Bamboo GT. It's not a perfect board. It's been out for a while. A lot of people complain, mainly about the battery sag. And it is true. Once these get a little bit older, the batteries, they just don't hold up that well. Other people have complained about connectivity issues with the remote. I'm using the R2. It's the only one I've ever used, and I personally haven't had any issues. I will say that this board is really fun to ride. The double kingpin design makes it a pleasure to carve on. This is the street setup here. It's fairly easy to kick push. The nice thing about this board is it is super carvy, so it's super fun. And it weighs significantly less than the other boards. So it is a nice option if you want something that is a little bit lighter. You can also switch out to an AT setup, which is a nice option, although just beware that it will cut down on your range significantly. It has quite a bit of power, especially in GT mode, which will also drain your battery much faster. But even with that GT mode, since its motors are just a lot smaller than the LaCroix's dual 6374, the LaCroix is much more powerful. So that's it. That's my review / comparison of these 3 different e-skates. Each one has its own characteristics that maybe sets it apart from the other. Didn't really focus too much on manufacturer's stats, but more on ride experience and what you might expect if you were to get on one of these boards. Yeah, I did kind of just scratch the surface, honestly. There's more of this story to tell. And if you ask me which is my personal favorite, I guess I'd have to say the LaCroix. I love the higher top speed, the fact that it's stable at a higher speed, and I love its power and its carve. Now, the Bamboo GT is probably my least favorite of these 3, although it's still a fun board with that double kingpin design. It's nice that it's lighter, so it's, I guess, useful if I was going to take a shorter trip, but I don't often do. So due to the lower power and range as opposed to the LaCroix, ultimately, I rarely find myself grabbing the Bamboo GT. The Onewheel is definitely a very unique machine, and if you ever get an opportunity to ride one, you should do it. They're a lot of fun, and I love the fact they're built like a tank. The only thing is that for me, I like to have a little bit higher cruising speed. This one I feel a little bit more comfortable around 15 miles an hour, which is just a little bit slow for my personal liking.
So I've never seen one of those before.
So anyways, hope you guys liked that video. It's just my thoughts on it. Which is the best board? I mean, really, that's all subject to user preference. So I say pick what's right for you. Hope you found this informative and enjoyable. See you in the next one.